much of fiber and vegetables and plants. All that stuff goes up in the bag because you can't digest it. You have to have bacteria in your colon that do that, and humans are not really good at it compared to other primates. We're really bad at it.
What about probiotics?
So I think probiotics, the microbiome is fascinating, and there's a lot of research going on. There's a lot of people just talking all about this stuff, how it affects your health. One of the things that we try to say is, how do we define a healthy microbiome? You can't yet. We just don't know enough. There are, we don't even know everything about the human body, and then to put in tens of billions of different bacteria, all different species, and say this is the perfect combination or that's a perfect combination. We're so far away from knowing that. We're in the very infancy of what that means. So what I would say is, if you're healthy, if your joints don't hurt, if everything's going good, then probably by definition your microbiome is fine. If you're eating just a meat-based diet, your microbiome is going to be different, and the probiotics are probably not going to make a difference for you. But if you're eating a crappy diet, and you're feeding your gut a bunch of sugar, you're going to get this dysbiosis, which is bad bacteria, and then maybe the probiotics might help in that situation. I'm not convinced. I just don't think there's enough evidence to show that that's a big deal.
That's interesting. So you think that perhaps maybe the probiotics exist, or maybe the probiotics are healthy. What's the matter? Freaking out? Well, audio levels? Yeah.
Too loud, not loud enough.
No, not loud enough.
I was talking over it.
So the probiotics, you think, may be only beneficial if people are consuming a lot of variable things, or a varied diet, like carbohydrates, all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
Then maybe the probiotics are necessary to sort of balance you out. Is that what you're thinking?
I mean, that potentially could be the case.
So you think that the microbiome of someone who eats meat is probably designed to eat meat?
Well, it is. I mean, your microbiome reacts to whatever you do. How much sleep you get, how much exercise you do, how much you eat, how much stress is in your life.
Right.
It's very, very adaptable. It can change in a day.
Right.
So whatever you're feeding it chronically is going to change what bacteria live there. So, it's like this thing about, again, back to this meat putrefaction thing. So if we look at the definition of putrefaction, it sounds awful, right? It's putrefying, right? Putrefaction is the activity of bacteria on protein, right? So if protein gets in your colon, it'll putrefy, right? So again, when we go back to these ileostomy patients, they studied people that were getting soy protein and meat. And guess which one had more protein going into the colon? Soy protein.
Yeah.
So eating a bunch of soybean stuff means more protein's going into your colon, and you're going to get more putrefaction that way.
Is that rumor, like, I know very little about what soy is supposed to do to you in terms of, like, raising your estrogen levels. Is that supposed to be a real thing?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people think so. I mean, there's some studies that support that. I don't know for sure. I mean, I don't think soy is a particularly good food for us. I know some people will say that fermented soy, is a little better.
Yeah, I've heard that's good for you, actually, right? What is that called? Natto,
yeah.
Natto?
I think it's an Asian type thing. But,
Yeah.
I think that, there's certainly some people that I think there's a lot of associations with guys getting gynecomastia and stuff like that from eating too much soy.
Have the guys really done that? I feel like that's one of those things where people just tell you, hey, man, you're going to get bitch tits.
I've got no idea.
I've never heard of guys getting that from anything other than steroids.
Yeah, I mean, there supposedly are. I don't know for sure. I can't say for sure.
Okay. Yeah, so now that you've been doing this, do you plan on, you've done it for a year now, do you plan on continuing this for life? Is this your diet now? Are you going to mix it up a little?
Right, so I'm going to, I seriously doubt I will not eat a ton of meat. I just think I feel too good. I mean, I think I want to feel good and perform as good as I can for as long as I can. So whether I say, and this is what I tell people, do it for a couple months, because this is one of the problems. So many people have health problems, and I think a lot of it's food related, and it's really hard to sort that out. If you're eating 100 different types of food, well, which one is it? I don't know. I'm gonna drop this out, right?
Right.
So
and it's obviously variable in terms of like your own individual biology.
Right. So, but I mean, when you drop down to just meat, then it's pretty easy. You just say, okay, I'm only eating meat now. If I add fruit back in, does that F me up or not?
Mm-hmm.
If it does, then I'm like, man, I shouldn't probably eat that.
Right.
If I eat dairy back in, so probably there will be a point when I'll say, hey, I'm gonna, maybe once in a while I have have some berries again, and then just see how I do with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of people, I'll tell you, that especially these guys have been doing it for 5, 8, 10, 15 years. I mean, they're like, man, that stuff screws me up, and I don't want to do that.
Who was the guy that you were saying? Did you find that gentleman online, young Jamie? The